Welcome back to Fireside Giants with Alex, your host. Anthony is on his way back from London, and we'll be getting back on the live stream game rather shortly in the next couple of days and some recorded stuff for you as always. But today I wanted to kind of talk about rookie minicamp. I know we didn't do an episode on that. It was a little bit of a hectic couple days, but want to give you guys the takeaways, thoughts, opinions, kind of on what transpired. All good stuff for the most part. Obviously, the Giants had some 7-on-7s, no 11v11s, but 7-on-7s for Jackson Dart. Lots of good quotes to come out of that. Lots of good takeaways, really. A lot of really good stuff about Dart, and I think that's kind of what we all want to hear. And usually at this time of the year, as we approach training camp and, more critical points in the offseason, we hear a lot of positivity. It's a lot of stuff to kind of get things going and get things kind of brewing. But I do think that Dart is standing out in more ways than I initially anticipated early on. And the idea that the Giants could end up like trading Jameis Winston away at the deadline makes more sense to me than ever. It could be Winston, it could be Wilson, whoever you guys think. But I think that Jackson Dart is going to be QB2 pretty quickly. I don't think that there's going to be like a really long time. I know that he's going to sit, and that's the intention. He's going to sit for this year. But if the Giants need an emergency and things are spiraling out of control anyway, I think that he will play sooner. Now, obviously, we have to see how things progress leading up to that actual decision. But 7v7s, he's throwing in shorts. He has a red shirt on. He's not being hit. There's no pass rush. He's just taking aggressive shots downfield and kind of trying to get the ball to other rookies, not really facing off against other NFL caliber talent. Some of them, but not a lot of them. And I do think that that's going to change quite significantly once the training camp rolls around and we start to see the Giants get more involved with the veterans. But Dart looked polished in a lot of ways. And I think that what I mean by polished is that he was accurate, he was aggressive, and he was confident as hell. That's kind of the main takeaway from what, seeing him and hearing about what his performance looked like is that for the most part, he threw with a lot of discipline. He showed that gunslinging mentality, which is what I actually think makes him super intriguing. A lot of people will say he's a gunslinger, he's reckless, he makes bad mistakes. And sure, yeah, like he did do that at times in college, but I do think that can be refined. I think that you're either born a gunslinger or you're not born a gunslinger. And the Giants have a quarterback who was born to sling the rock. He's not conservative. Daniel Jones, Dable tried to coach him into being a gunslinger and it never worked. And I think that he never was able to get that aggressive mentality and take shots and take risks like Josh Allen does, which is why Dable loved him so much. And I think that he sees a little bit of Josh Allen in Jackson Dart's decision-making. Now, decision-making is a process, right? If a quarterback entered the NFL with perfect decision-making, they'd be the best prospect of all time. It takes years to get that down. It takes a long time to figure out exactly when to take chances. Your opponents, are their safeties more athletic? Are the linebackers more athletic? Are they good at undercutting routes? Like a lot of the decision-making comes down to IQ, scheme-related tendencies. So I think the Giants are giving Dart a lot of time to figure out how to make those decisions. What makes those decisions work? How does he become more successful with his brain rather than just his arm? And it was windy. It was windy on the weekend, and in that one practice, the second practice they had outdoors, he slung it just fine. There were no problems. On Friday, he went 8 of 10 passes with 2 drops. So excellent. On Saturday with the win, 7 of 13. He had a couple drops, and his final pass of the day was this 45-yard touchdown to Daquan Felton, another rookie that's trying to crack this roster in one way or another. So really impressive stuff from Dart. He was confident, he was poised, he was aggressive, and he was really looking the part of a guy that wants to come in here and win a job, not just sit and learn. And he's open to it. He said, Brian Dable, coach me up. I want to be coached hard. And I think that that's what you want from a young 21-year-old kid who's just trying to grasp the NFL game. And I think that he's taken a lot. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN had some really good stuff to say. He said, I heard that he threw the ball well. And he said it's only one day of rookie minicamp, but Brian Dable is really excited about this guy, more excited about him than really any quarterback since Josh Allen that he's worked with. That's Drew Lock, that's Tommy DeVito, and of course, that's Daniel Jones. Dable's praised him for his natural leadership qualities. There's a lot to like about this guy, a lot to like about this player. And I think Dable's really you can see the videos. I know you guys have probably seen them already, where Dable's like joking and laughing and like, dare I say, having a good time. I don't think we've seen Dable have a good time in quite a while. He's been pretty depressed back there trying to figure out how to get this team to be competitive. And I think that Dable in his first year was having fun. Like, that's what I loved about him so much. I mean, he was full of muffins and he was having fun. That's what the Brian Dable we want back with the Giants, the guy that has a good time. And I would argue for a lot of people, if you enjoy your job every day and you're having a good time and a fun experience, you're probably going to perform better too. He looked miserable the last 2 years, just miserable. The lack of consistency at quarterback, the failure to operate a scheme that he really wanted to operate. There was just a lot of problems that were happening in real time. He could do nothing to fix. There's some really good stuff that I do think, we're seeing from Dart and Dable just in terms of the mentality, the happiness, the joy, the coaching. Like, there's a lot of really positive stuff here. So Dable said after minicamp wrapped regarding Jackson Dart, he did what he was supposed to do. He was prepared. How he's gone about his business as a young pro at the position is important. So I do think he said everything right to the media. He asked everybody what their name was. And I think one of the reporters, maybe it's Dan Duggan, said in the first time of ever, he has never seen a player stop the media and say, please address yourself, your name, who you work for before you ask your question so I can get to know you guys a little bit more. He's showing a level of respect to the media that is, it's just a small thing. It's not big, but I think that he's aware. He's cerebral. He is definitely buying into this New York media and saying, if I get the media on my side, and this is a very underrated piece of playing in New York, if I get the media on my side, they'll turn me into a hero without me even throwing a pass. They'll be waiting for me. They'll be positive about me. They'll be optimistic. And if I can control that narrative, I can build my confidence while building my game behind the scenes. So, that's kind of an opinion I think is he's constructing in real time. So lots of really good stuff from Dart. He looked really good. Loved the gunslinging mentality. His aggressive nature is what makes him Jackson Dart. And this is a 21-year-old kid. And a lot of the negative stuff that people say about him, I disregard. And the reason I disregard it is because he basically is having a full year to learn how to be a quarterback in the NFL before having to actually be a quarterback in the NFL. That's like Drew Aller. Hey, buddy, instead of going back to Penn State where you're going to run the same offense, where you're not throwing that much, and you're going to be relying on a great defense and a run game, and go to the NFL, sit and learn behind one of the best offensive minds in football, and then take that and run with it. That's a really good position. We're not getting Jackson Dart now. Right? That's not the version of Jackson Dart we're getting. We're getting the version of Jackson Dart that's 1 year after Brian Dable's had a chance to teach him an NFL offense with cadences and verbiage. That's a totally different player. So, I love the tangible traits. The arm talent's good. He's an above-average athlete. He's tough as nails. Now you coach him and give him the IQ. You give him the intelligence of being an NFL quarterback and the systematic kind of process, and you're going to get a different player. So the people that are a bit maybe pessimistic at this point in time, you shouldn't be. You're a Giants fan, so you shouldn't be anyway. I think that objectivity in your analysis is totally fine and fair. But let's see what Jackson Dart can be. He may not pan out. I have no idea. But I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, or even just optimistic, because the truth is that he has a whole year to learn and develop his game before stepping foot on the NFL football field, and he is going to be a better player a year from now than he is today, and that's what makes me very optimistic about this young guy. But moving on, I do think that there's some other talking points. Abdul Carter, he is number 51. Officially, I know Dart said he's unsure. He's number 6 right now. He looks pretty good at number 6, but we'll see how things progress there. Abdul Carter is a massive human being. I don't know if you guys saw that video of him standing next to Cam Scatterbo, but holy crap, this dude is massive, 6'5", huge. The footwork is unbelievable. He's so quick and so fast and so powerful and vicious. If he gets bigger and he gets stronger and he gets more refined as a pass rusher, this guy could be the next Micah Parsons. I'm not going to say he is going to be because I have no idea, but he's got all the talent in the world. This guy has the upside to be that good. He just has to put it all together. Darius Alexander, another guy. They're saying this is a grown-ass man, 24-year-old rookie. He is a grown-ass man. He is a big guy. He is aggressive. He is an underrated pass rusher. He is a really good run stopper. People were just saying that he looks like he's ready to step on an NFL field and be a contributor on day one. The Giants drafting 4 players immediately, first round. I'd even say we'll leave Dart out of this equation, but Abdul Carter, Darius Alexander and Cam Scatterbo, 3 of your first 4 picks becoming instant contributors is very, very solid, and guys that are going to be playing big roles. Now, Cam Scatterbo, obviously, he's a little bit smaller, but he's a broad guy. He is, and here's the thing about him. People will say you got to look like Derrick Henry to break tackles. I don't think that's true, right? David Montgomery's he's a little bit shorter, but he's stocky. So that stocky elite contact balance build. Ahmad Bradshaw wasn't a huge guy, and he bounced off tacklers like crazy. Maurice Jones-Drew wasn't a big guy. He bounced off. Darren Sproles bounced off. Like, you don't have to have the quintessential frame to be an elite running back. You just have to have that elite contact balance at your size, and you can be very good. Now, I know some people are floating the idea that Cam Scatterbo should be a third down back because of his receiving quality, and I love him as a receiver, but I see Cam Scatterbo as a 3-down back. I think Tyrone Tracy's closer to being a third down back than Cam Scatterbo, and the reason I say that is because Scatterbo can take the hits. Right, he can take that workload and run with it. He can dominate with more touches. He gets better as the game goes on. Tyrone Tracy had fumbling problems, especially in the red zone. I don't want Tyrone Tracy running the ball in the red zone personally. Cam Scatterbo is my guy. 20 yard inside 20 yards. That is the guy I'm going with. But Tyrone Tracy was a receiver. I think that his drops issues last year were jitter based. I just don't think he was used to it. Let's be honest, guys. I remember recalling multiple clips where Daniel Jones or Drew Lock threw like some of the worst balls you could ask a running back to catch, like spinning around. They labeled them drops, but they were such bad passes that, like, I don't even blame Tyrone Tracy. There were drops. Don't get me wrong. There were certainly drops, but there were some that were just bad passes that they labeled drops. So, with a better quarterback and Russell Wilson, Dart long-term, I think Tracy is closer to being a third down back than Cam Scatterbo is. So, like, that's just my personal opinion at the moment. I think that they'll probably platoon them, play the hot hand. Even Devin Singletary, they'll probably use him early in the season just to get some, like, juice going. And obviously they want to make sure that all those guys stay healthy. They have a lot of depth now at running back, which is definitely a positive. So, some good stuff there. Scatterbo was like, I haven't proved a single thing in the NFL yet. Like, I proved myself at the college level, but that's over. I haven't done a single thing. I've not proved myself 1 ounce. So he is coming to the table with a tough, gritty approach that is extremely humble. And I think that really makes him attractive in terms of his mentality. The Giants have drafted a whole bunch of guys that have a really, really strong mentality towards success. So far, so good in terms of what they've said to the media. I've bought into all of it. Now it's just a matter of putting in the hard work and getting there in a real game and actually transitioning and translating that to NFL action, because it's easier said than done a lot of times. Marcus Bowe, another guy that we all really, really like, he said that he's not exactly sure what position he's going to play, but he thinks he'll play everywhere. Some people think he could play center, which is a really interesting point. I know he'll be training at right tackle, as Brian Daboll did mention, but I think that he should be cross-training at multiple spots. He's a 5th-round pick. If you pencil a 5th-round pick into one position, I think that would be a bad move, especially because he has experience at a couple. I would be cross-training him at center. I'd be cross-training him at right guard, and I'd be cross-training him at right tackles. The truth is, they don't need him to play right now. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to play. So let him learn. Let him develop. When you drafted Evan Neal, he had to play right tackle because that's what they drafted him to play. Abdul Carter is going to play on the defensive line. Jackson Dart's a quarterback. They draft guys for specific positions earlier in the draft because that is their role. That is what they're trying to fill. But the 5th, 6th, 7th round guys, like, you take flyers on these guys, you don't ever know where they're going to pan out. So I think that when you look at a player like Marcus Bowe, test him around. Let him test right guard, let him test right tackle, let him test center, and see what he sticks to. Because, like, that's a good process, in my opinion, because he ideally does not play this year. He just learns, grasps the tendencies in the process in the offensive scheme, and then you have a good piece to work with in the future. So that's kind of how I feel about Marcus Bowe at the moment. But Mike Kafka's been calling plays in rookie camp. I don't think anything of it, but I do think that Brian Daboll's going to succeed a little bit of control on the offense. I know it's his offense and whatnot, but I think he needs to be more of a head coach. You know what I mean? Like, he has to be managing the defense. He has to be managing the offense. Like, he had too many things he was juggling last year. So I think he has to really focus on just being more of a broad thing. Because if he's calling plays on offense, there are other parts of his coaching duties that are not being fulfilled most likely on game day. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit more collaboration this year. And if, we'll see how things go, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was more of a collaborative approach on offense. So, that's definitely interesting, but, other storylines and whatnot, I mean, just the rookies in general. I do think that this was a really good 2-day minicamp. Got some really good information. The Giants really like these guys. I really like these guys. We all really love this draft class for the most part. Love the stuff I heard about Dart, Scatterbo, and obviously so many others, and Abdul Carter, and some undrafted guys obviously did stand out. I know there was one guy, like I mentioned, Daquan Felton, 6'5", 216 pounds out of Virginia Tech, had a couple of nice catches and had that big 45-yard touchdown. Avery Moreau had a nice catch on a swing pass from Dart. took it up the left sideline. He has really good speed. He was at Colorado State. So, there's some interesting players here that the Giants are testing and seeing what they have to offer. But for the most part, good minicamp, my friends. I do think this was really, informative. And I think we learned a lot about the mentality of these players. Of course, long offseason ahead of us. We got you guys covered with all the news and everything in between. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to Fireside Giants as always. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.